Welcome back. You're still watching Nile Cruise, and now it's time for the main topic of this episode. This week, Egyptian President Mohammed Morsi cut all diplomatic ties with Damascus and called for a no-fly zone over Syria. He also warned al-Assad's allies in the Iranian-backed Lebanese Shiite militia Hezbollah to pull back from fighting in Syria. To speak about the Egyptian relations with Syria now is Mr. Ahmed Naguib, the political activist. Hello, Mr. Ahmed.
Thank you for having me.
I would like to start with this main topic, of course, that President Mohammed Morsi has severed cuts between Egypt and Syria. How would you see that?
Well, from the chronological order of events, it's interesting that he uses this option now, although a lot of activists from the beginning of his presidency told him to do so. Those who are in support of the Syrian revolution have asked President Morsi consistently and continuously to sever relations with the current government. Now, he only is perceived to be doing this for the sake of, portraying himself as a hero of the revolution, in order to make his supporters become more zealous about protecting him in terms of the upcoming events, and
yes,
for those who are calling for an early presidential elections. He wants to surface as the protector of the Arab revolutions, as someone who's a big jihadist, who wants to protect the Islamic religion and faith, and that he's the protector of the revolutions. Of course, this is only politically motivated and driven and has no credibility, because he had those options long ago and he has not used them. While Egyptians were killed on the borders with Israel, and we all know there were a lot of speculations about Mossad's intervention in those assassinations, we have not heard all of that time of any severing of the relationship with Israel or kicking out the ambassador.
Yes.
So it makes you wonder what are the motivations of the president. Of course, we all know it's a pro-campaign kind of event that
yes,
took place in the stadium. So it is not really authentic or genuine. And of course, it only pours into the U.S. interest in the region in promoting a virtual, controlled proxy war between Sunnis and Shiites. So the Sunni-Shia clash is preferred to take place in Syria rather than directly, for instance, between Saudi Arabia and Iran. So it would have controlled parameters, and more or less it will bring all those jihadists who they couldn't get from Afghanistan or couldn't reach in Afghanistan,
yes,
all the way to Syria. It would be easier to crush them after they're done with the Sunni-Shia conflict.
Yes. A point that you have mentioned earlier is that President Mohammed Morsi has not severed relationships between Egypt and Israel and hasn't kicked out the ambassador, of course. And on the other hand, he also had good relations between Egypt and Russia, Egypt and Iran, and Egypt and China. And of course, he has visited all three nations. And former president of Iran, Ahmadinejad, has also visited Egypt. So how could he maintain the balance between having good relationships between Egypt and the three nations and, of course, severing ties between Egypt and Syria? How is that possible?
Well, you have to understand the visits that he did with China, Russia, and Iran had all different purposes. It didn't mean that those are efforts to have better relations with those countries. He went to Iran for political reasons, and more or less to be portrayed as a hero when he more or less said all those, when he mentioned Abu Bakr and Umar in his speech. It makes him the protector of the Sunni faith. And makes him a hero, being able to say all those good things about the companions of the prophets at the heartland of Shiism. Now, he went to Russia for two major reasons. He went to ask for financial support from Russia, and also he went so that he can talk about the Syrian situation. Now, the outcomes were not in his favor. He did not get any concessions from the Russian Federation. Now, China, on the other hand, has always been interested in importing investments in Egypt. So there were talks about the Suez Canal project, or the development of the Suez Canal, and about support and financial support. That also did not materialize into anything at all. Now, by announcing his policy in Syria, he has given Iran a pretext to officially announce its intervention in Syria, so that it becomes a tete-a-tete policy. You intervene, we intervene. Yes, they had their forces in Syria for the past at least 1.5 years, but it was never announced officially. Now both Hezbollah and Iran are officially present in Syria as a response to the Egyptian and U.S. Support of Egypt in
As
the
Iran
Syrian.
recently sent 4,000 troops to Syria after President Mohammed.
They were already there.
Yes, but it officially, as you said,
Yes.
just makes it official, makes
Yes.
things official from Iran and of course.
This is an
Hezbollah.
escalation, of course. This only plays into the U.S., the American scenario of, which I call a gap scenario for the U.S. after they're done with the Cold War and then the war on terrorism. There has to be a new sustainable scenario. Until they have that scenario in place, the Sunni-Shia clash would definitely serve that U.S. interest in destabilizing the region, protecting its oil reserves in Saudi Arabia, and selling more arms, starting an arms race in the Middle East. We've already seen that in 2011,
Yes.
Saudi Arabia bought $100 billion worth of weapons from the United States. So this is an attempt to, it's a statement on behalf of KSA to say that we are mobilizing, we are upgrading, and obviously the U.S. policy has, they're reaping the fruit of this policy, of the Sunni-Shia clash.
Yes, but on another front, we have seen President Mohammed Morsi holding a speech, of course, with a lot of supporters, about 16,000 supporters in Cairo Stadium, for Syria, for supporting the Syrian rebels, and of course against Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. And of course, a week earlier, there was another conference for Palestine, supporting Palestine.
Yes.
And so now Egypt is supporting Palestine and supporting Syria. But is there significance behind such conferences for President Mohammed Morsi and his supporters
Yes.
before the 30th of June?
Definitely. He's trying to reconsolidate all his credit within the Islamic camp, because this is the camp that more or less is his domain. He needs those people who have a love and hate relationship with the jihadists, with the Jama'ah Islamiyah, and with the Salafis, all of which disbelieve in the Muslim Brotherhood model. However, when it becomes a general threat to the political Islam camp at large, they all come together.
Yes.
Now, he is promoting jihadism in Syria as to increase its credit among the political Islam camp at large, and also using Palestine pretty much just as much as Mubarak did for public approval. Now, how are they supporting the Palestinian cause? We haven't heard of them, of the Muslim Brotherhood, trying to recruit young people to go and fight in Palestine. Now, because it's just empty rhetoric, they're just using it
Publicity
for their
stunt.
favor. It's a publicity. However, in the Syria, it more or less serves U.S. interest in Syria on many levels, of which it's an economic interest, it's a geopolitical interest, and at the same time, it is containing a lot of the jihadist effort and energy and disemboweling it from focusing on Egypt and sending him elsewhere.
But we do know that the Islamic camp is